Okay. I just tagged you, Triana. Sorry, candidates, we are almost there.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect.
Okay, we're up on the Georgia Now group.
Okay.
And,
all right, let's go. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. This is a candidate forum for District 5 in Georgia, Congressional District 5. As we all know, that seat was once held by the late Honorable John Lewis, and this candidate forum is for the special election that is coming up this month. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to turn it over to Triana Arnold James, our president.
Yes, thank you all once again. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Okay, good. Welcome. As Amber said, first and foremost, I want to thank her for organizing this event and making sure that we know about our candidates and those that we can support and how we can help move forward. But as Amber said, I'm Triana Arnold James. I am the current president of Georgia Now, National Organization for Women, which is one of the oldest organization for women and girls. We are an organization of multi-issues. We don't just talk about one issue, we talk about several. And our 6 core issues is the constitutional equality, making sure that the ERA is ratified, economic justice, racial justice, reproductive rights, the LGBTQ plus community, and as well as the Violence Against Women Act, which we will get into tonight. So thank you all so much. And if you want to know more about Georgia Now, you can go to www.georgia spelled out -now.org and feel free to join. Thank you all once again.
All righty, thank you, Triana. Just to put out the disclaimer, Georgia Now is a nonpartisan organization. We work to protect the equal rights of all women and girls in the state of Georgia. The intent of this forum is not to endorse a particular candidate, however, to allow the candidate's constituents to hear what is most important to the candidate in this election. And we will get started with our opening statements. Let's start with Representative Abel Mabel Thomas, if she can start off with her opening statement. Oh, and I'm sorry, a little housekeeping. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute response for each question, 30-second rebuttal if necessary. And then in the end, we'll get a 90-second closing statement for each candidate. So is Representative Thomas still on? Okay, we'll work on getting her back. Okay, we'll be back to Representative Thomas. Let's go to Barrington. Barrington, your opening statement, please.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Barrington Martin II, and I'm here to provide modern-day solutions to modern-day problems. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, but simply revolutionize the wheel. I feel that we are at the forefront of a political renaissance in which the people are demanding more, and it's time for the government, our government, to deliver more at every facet of the way, all the way from the federal level, all the way down to the city level. I believe that since I am born and raised within the district, and it's my home that I love dearly, I have a distinct obligation to ensure that my family, my friends, and the people of this district are taken care of, excuse me. This is why it is imperative for someone like myself to represent this district, because it is my district. I grew up watching my family members canvass with the great Reverend James Orange and helping out civil rights icons who stepped into the political arena. My father and I were mentored by former SCLC President Howard Creasy Jr. And with this type of pedigree, I think that it takes a person of my stature to not only continue on with the legacy of great men like the late great Congressman Lewis, but to take this legacy to somewhere that hasn't been before. I believe that it takes a person with courage who can deliver the dream that Dr. King had for our people and for the entire nation. And the dream is, what I mean by the dream is what my platform is composed of, and my platform is called the People's Bailout. And I'm going to get into what the People's Bailout is a little bit later. But it's time for the people to feel empowered by possessing a true sense of freedom through social and economic equity. And this is what I plan to deliver with the People's Bailout. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Barrington. Mr. Muhammad, we'll go to you next. Your opening statement.
Thank you. Greetings. My name is Stephen Muhammad, and I'm running to seek the office of Congressman for the 5th Congressional District here in the state of Georgia, city of Atlanta, Clayton, and DeKalb counties. My platform consists of criminal justice reform to stop destructive gentrification, ensure true affordable housing, job training, entrepreneurship opportunities, and public engagement. Now, in public engagement, I would like to stop the lobbyists, corporations, and special interests and open the door for small business, faith leaders, community leaders, and neighborhood leaders to have a seat at the table. This would allow us a base to create a new reality throughout the 5th district. As it stands now, the 5th district has neglected some of the things that are necessary for us to have a great city, a great area, and a great district. I would like to also, I'm running as an independent. And running as an independent, my goal is to stop political gridlock between the Republicans and the Democrats, to be able to work my way in and create a synergy that we can have partisan-free politics as it used to be. Because for the good of this nation, the good of this district, we have to have nonpartisan politics that allow us to work on the problems. We see that right now with the pandemic and the COVID CARES Act money. It's being held up, and there are 30 million people who are now suffering because they can't get a check, because congressmen and senators who have money, who are living and taking vacations, have allowed the working class to not have a voice, to not have a chance, and not have any money so that they can take care of the opportunities, take care of the situations that they live in. So we're here to create a new reality, and a new reality is a country that works.
Thank you so much for that. Ms. Thomas, you're next.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Mute one of your devices. If you just mute one of your devices, then you won't hear echo. Just one of them.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I hate to try this phone because the other one keeps.
Yeah, that happens to me sometimes. If you just mute one of your devices, you'll be fine. Not both, just one of them. We can't hear you.
Okay, what about now?
Yes.
Okay, good. First, I want to say thank the National Organization of Women. It's an organization I've been a part of. And I would like to say that I want to just start off from the rip to say I'm the most qualified person for this particular race, and that my work has been in the issue of healthcare, women, and family work. I am one of the 12 mothers of the reproductive justice movement in America. In 1994, at a pro-choice conference in Illinois, I organized the 12 Black women that were at that particular conference. We started a group called Women of African Descent for Reproductive Justice. That was the first time reproductive injustice was in the same sentence. So we coined the phrase that never existed in America before then. I've been pro-choice I've also am the author of the first mandated benefit in the state of Georgia that requires insurance companies to pay for mammograms, pap smear, and the prostate cancer test as a regular part of the benefit plan. On the Atlanta City Council, I was a sponsor of the Commission on Women. At the state, I was one of the sponsors of the Georgia Commission on Women, and also I founded the Women's Caucus in the Georgia General Assembly. I know women's work, and I know that women really hold up more than half the sky. And if women are empowered, then families are empowered. So I ask the voters to look at my record and go for Abel Mabel Thomas, United States Congress 5th District. And I would like to have to say, I've been trying not to say it, but my mentor also is Reverend James Orange. I was mentored by Reverend James Orange and went on almost every civil rights move, every civil rights march in the South. And the first being Free Maggie Bozeman, Julia Wilder, when they tried to lock those 2 Black women up for voter fraud. And also my other mentor would be Jose Williams.
That's your time. That's your
Thank
time
you.
for the opening statement.
Thank
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I will be back to you on that reproductive rights. However, I want to go back to Mr. Muhammad. The first thing you mentioned was COVID cares, and that's the first thing on my questions list. The Atlanta Regional Commission reported that the unemployment rate is now 9.0%. District 5 is within the Atlanta Regional Commission. What is your position on supporting or not supporting a second stimulus during this COVID-19 pandemic? Everyone will answer that, but I'll start with Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And how much time do we have to answer this question?
You have 2 minutes to answer this question.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 minutes to answer this question.
First of all, I want to apologize to this group, this organization, because I just confirmed with you all today, but originally we didn't get the email and it was our fault this time. And that's why we didn't confirm. So I apologize, because honestly, I was kind of cussing you all out beneath my breath. So they didn't send me, but it was my fault. It's my group's fault. And I want to apologize for that. But emphatically, yes, I do support a second round of stimulus, because as it stands now, when they give statistics in America, it's for the general body. But every time they give a statistic about 9% unemployment, it's about 2.5 times higher for the African-American community. And that's the community I live in. And so we're looking at 20% or so for Black people. And that is a horrific level of unemployment and a horrific level of pain in the community of people who do not have a check, who do not have money, who can't pay their bills. Evictions are getting ready to start. President Trump put a moratorium on them for a while to the end of the year, but that means evictions, no food, standing in line to get food boxes. All of these things are going on right now. So we need a second round. And going to Washington, D.C., I would lobby my colleagues in Congress to make sure that they remember the people on the front lines, the small people, the people who don't have any money, who are hungry, who are hurting. Those are the people that I would have to put back on their minds, because most of them are so far removed from them, they don't understand that, well, if you don't give them that $600, that's basically a matter of life or death. So yes, I'm for a second stimulus.
Thank you so much for that, Barrington. Let's go to you next with that question.
Absolutely. I'll take it a step further. Not only am I for a second stimulus, I'm for the input of universal guaranteed income. I mentioned my people's bailout earlier, and universal guaranteed income is one of the pillars of my platform, because if you look at where we are today and what has occurred due to the pandemic, you will see and understand that things are going to get worse. For example, 23% of US jobs are going to be impacted by automation by 2030. 40% of Americans can't pay for an unexpected $400 expense. This pandemic has hit us hard economically, socially, and especially within the healthcare sector. So I think that one of the things that we've seen with this specific pandemic is that the economy is not moving on people working. The economy is moving on people spending money. And with that being stated, it's important that Americans are allowed or allotted a specific amount of basic floor for us all to start upon that we can build off upon as well. So I think that moving forward, the modern day solution to the modern day problem of our economy would be universal guaranteed income, not just another one-time stimulus payment, but going forward, Americans are entitled to a specific amount that's going to allow them to have a basic floor to start upon that's going to be universal and equal for everyone else to have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Thomas, you next.
Okay, well, I'm definitely in support of the stimulus package. And I do know, as has been stated, that we're dealing with a lot of evictions. And so what I want to do is to deal with a moratorium on evictions for renters as well as homeowners, because renters are going to be hit better than any other scenario that we're dealing with. Also, I want to get up there to extend the unemployment benefits, as well as the fact that, as you know, many small businesses are failing because they did not get the money. When they went to apply to get money, a lot of the banks turned them down, but actually gave the money to the big corporates. So I do believe that the stimulus package will help, and that we need to have, and really, to be honest with you, we need to have at least 2 more before the end of the year, so they will help to try to stabilize the community. I think that there are a lot of things that's going on in the Congress, and it's a lot of log jam in the Senate side. So far, the House has been really being pretty progressive. It's trying to get something out. But when it gets over to the Senate, they for big business and they're not for the little man. And so I want to go and continue to represent John Lewis' legacy, which is service leadership and leadership that looks at the little man to make sure that he's empowered. Because my question always is, do working class, poor people have the right to control? No, they don't get to control. Do they get to direct? No, they don't get to direct. But at least have voice in what's going on in their communities. And this issue of the pandemic has really brought that to a sharp contrast of how we as a community need to be involved, and more information needs to come from the federal government down to the state, to the local area, and definitely to our communities, because the average person really does not follow the federal government, but it's lots of money and opportunity or resources that need to go on that the federal government to the little man, and I'm here to do it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Thomas. And Ms. Thomas, I'm gonna come back to you with the next question. It is estimated that 4 million people rely on Title X funding to access essential health care, particularly also essential reproductive care. Do you support funding for Title X providers, including Planned Parenthood, for reproductive health care?
I'm very much in support of that, and spent a lot of time trying to fight the Hyde Act, which was always trying to take out anything like Planned Parenthood or any group that they thought was doing anything around it. The reality of it is these organizations, number one thing is not about a person being pro-choice or not, or pro-life. The reality of it is that these organizations do what we call family planning and contraceptives. And they basically have just lumped everything in together. And so I do want to talk about that, because when you talk about the reproductive movement in America that everybody uses and talks about, the relativity is as of 2019, it was the 25th anniversary of it. And as I said before, and really I was so looking forward to this forum, because it's the only forum that we really ever get to answer any women's questions. And so 25 years ago, now 26 years ago, in June, I was able to see the vision and organize women around reproductive justice, not just reproductive health, not just reproductive choice. And what we believe is that you have a right to have a child, you have a right not to have a child, but you also have a right that if you bring a child in the world, that child will be supported, and that the society will invest in that child, rather than just talking about bringing a child into the world. So those are the 3 tenements of the reproductive justice movement. But because everything expands, now we deal with the issue of the reproductive justice movement in the intersection of racism, reproductive justice in the intersection of mass incarceration, and even the way that they treat women. If a woman is in prison, they used to put a woman in a situation where they lock her down and chain her up just to have a baby. And we knew that was not fair. And so we did do some work and pass the legislation to stop that at the Georgia General Assembly level. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that. Barrington, piggybacking on criminal justice, what steps in policy, if any, do you think must be taken to address police brutality against Black and Brown communities?
Oh, thank you for that question. I get excited anytime someone asks about criminal justice because essentially the conversation needs to be tailored around the changing of the laws and the changing of our understanding of punitive measures. What I mean by that is, for example, victimless crime should not be punished just by jail time. We have to start looking at the way we punish people. We have to start to look at the way laws are created and the way laws affect subjugated communities disproportionately. Furthermore, we have to look at policing. We have to involve the community more so within policing within our neighborhoods and our communities. And we have to really do a deep dive into the type of people that are hired for these public safety jobs. I think that we need to end qualified immunity. I think that we have to go inside police unions and break up much of the cronyism that goes on, where we see that a lot of the police unions and the policemen themselves have an us versus them type mentality, when essentially they are hired to protect and serve. We have to bring that ideology back. But mostly, I think that above all, in accordance to changing the laws and changing the punitive circumstances around certain punishments, I think that it's important that we get the community more so involved within policing measures, because I think that once the community is able to, hold the police officers as well as the judges, as well as the district attorneys more accountable for the bad decision making they do within the system, I think that we will start to see the changes that we need to see to possess a progressive future where policing could be equitable and equal, not only just in high-end communities, but in lower income communities as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad, you're next.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Did you say me?
Oh, I said Mr. Muhammad. I'll come back to you, Ms. Thomas.
Okay, thank you.
On criminal justice reform? Or
Well, the question is, what steps in policy do you think must be taken to address police brutality against Black and Brown communities? What policies, if any, should be addressed?
yeah, well, we have to reform the police department. We have to reform the police department. The police department has a lot of problems. As I reiterated in another forum, the sheriff of Fulton County, Ted Jackson, is a former federal FBI agent. He was one of the highest ranking Blacks to ever go into that department, rose up to the level of special agent in charge of Georgia. And I was questioning him one day on the FBI and what goes on inside of an organization like that, that historically has been the antithesis of Black progress. He explained to me that he went in and he did reform within the system. Matter of fact, he was one of the reasons that I decided to run. When he said that he could reform an organization like that, I said, well, maybe I can go up and reform the House of Representatives. But when you get into it, you have to have people on the inside, people on the outside. We have to then look at what we can do from both ends of the spectrum to pressure the police department to act right. When you look at the history of the police department, they said that why don't the good officers inform on the bad officers? Well, when I was a child and my little brother used to go downstairs and take cookies, I wouldn't tell on him. So to have a police officer tell on another police officer is really pushing the envelope. What we have to have is systems in place, and we have to have a citizens review board that has teeth in it, and the prosecutors from the district attorney side that will make sure that when a police officer crosses the line and becomes a rogue cop, he is punished to the full extent of the law.
All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Ms. Thomas, same questions to you. What steps in policy do you think should be taken to address police brutality against Black and Brown communities?
Well, you know, one thing I'm in a position to do is to talk more about what I've done as well as what I can do. If y'all remember, the first police misconduct was not necessarily Trayvon Martin. It actually was Katherine Johnson, the 92-year-old grandmother that was killed in English Avenue. I led the community response. Markel Hutchins led the family response. As a result of that case, we have actually got more accomplished than most of the cases that we're dealing with. We were able to get $5 million for the family. We were able to reenact the Citizen Review Board in the city of Atlanta. It used to be in place in the 80s and had just died out. And we were able to start what they call DC3, which is a situation where if you're in an area like English Avenue, Vine City, Summer Hill, you could be stopped by police and thrown on the ground, frisked, and actually took to jail because you in what they call a known drug area. We also was able to disband the Red Dog group, as well as 3 police officers went to jail. So I am Breonna Taylor because I also am the author of a bill right now. Remember, I am a sitting state representative now. I'm the author of House Bill 1209, which puts in place a repeal of no-knock warrants. I know about no-knock warrants almost to the area of expertise based upon the work with the 92-year-old grandmother, Katherine Johnson. Also, we have in place a 12-point plan, and repeal of no-knock is a part of that, including dealing with a authority over district attorneys because they got so much discretion. Stand your grounds bill being repealed. And we also was talking about this whole thing about citizens arrest. So there's a 12-point plan that's in place right now. And I'm one of the authors of the repeal of the no-knock warrant. I believe that clearly what we're in a society where Black lives, they acting like they don't matter. I will continue to fight and continue to put my life and myself on the line because we know that if you don't speak up and you don't speak out and you don't organize and don't pass legislation, then what you'll do is hope that the Citizen Review Bill alone will help. I submit to you that the teeth, more teeth. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Next question will be about gun violence. What gun violence prevention measures do you support? For example, comprehensive background checks. We'll start with you, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. Well, right now in the Vine City, English Avenue area, we have an organization called the 10,000 Fearless. This organization was formed in 2015 to stand between the guns and the gangs. Our whole purpose is to stop crime, to make the gangbangers put the guns down. We do mediation. We talk to the gangbangers on each side and encourage them to put their guns down, to lay down their beefs. We do this all around the country. There's 60 chapters of this organization. The headquarters is in Vine City right now. We do it in every major city. We have had success. We work with police departments. We work with community organizations. We work with different faith organizations, neighborhood organizations, to make sure that we can get between the gangs and the guns, because gun violence is just, it's out of control. I myself was a victim of a robbery last year around this time, September 24th of last year. My wife and I had automatic assault rifles put in our face, and the vehicle that we were in was taken, and we were robbed of the money that we had in our cell phones. So this is a real threat to the African-American community. We cannot have a community that's a safe and decent place to live unless we have citizens who are willing to risk their lives. When the students were robbed over in AU, it was the 10,000 Fearless that led preachers. We led the Concerned Black Clergy and several clergy groups and neighborhood and faith groups to go over there and stand until the people were found. For months, we stood over there and made sure the students could walk at night because there's not enough police departments on the AU campus. We've closed down crack houses, drug houses. We fought because the gun violence has to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is when the men in the community, not negating women, but the men gonna have to stand up like men and make the young boys put those guns down. And that's what we're encouraging men to do. And that's what we train men to do every day with the 10,000 feelers.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Barrington, I'll go to you with that question. What gun violence prevention measures do you support?
Yes. From here on out, you're going to always hear me state that it's time for modern day solutions to modern day problems. The Second Amendment is one of our most beloved amendments, a part of our Bill of Rights, because it gives us the opportunity to protect ourselves. And I believe that that's a human right that should never be infringed upon. However, gun violence is a problem within this nation. So I think that it's important to, one, we have to end the gun show loopholes, have extensive background checks, and cover up any type of blind spots that would allow anyone to own a firearm that's not supposed to own a firearm. What I'm proposing when I go to Congress is to implement a national registry. It's optional, but the thing about it is, what I wanted to accomplish is the fact that every firearm in America will be registered amongst every individual. And what will happen is, because you have different gun laws within different states, it will allow you to possess reciprocity in other states that may not have particularly gun laws where it opens up for you to own a gun. But I think that essentially our country needs to be able to know the amount of people that have guns. It needs to know who has guns. And that way it will allow for our law enforcement as well as for public safety to have a better idea on the people in the areas of where gun violence take place. And so to wrap it up again, I think that, we need to end gun show loopholes. We need to also insert a national gun registry.
All right. Thank you, Barrington. Ms. Thomas, what gun violence prevention measures have you supported? Do you support?
Basically, I understand that things are really out of control. Basically, what they've been talking about is even allowing teachers to have guns, as if that would be a prevention and could end up being a disaster. I believe that we definitely do need universal background checks, and we need to really deal with this issue of a moratorium on assault rifles. Because really, if you're going to be a hunter, and we do support the right to bear arms, but even as a hunter, there's no need to have assault weapons, and it's almost as if there are people who are trying to get a proliferation of guns in our communities so that we can do black on black crime, or they're trying to get what they say, create some type of situation where it could be a race war, and we're not really going for that. So I believe that we need to deal with conflict resolution. I think that we need to engage our young people in other activities that they can show some level of kindness towards each other, and also understand that life is valuable. I do appreciate some of the words that were said about the registry, as well as the fact that since you mentioned English Avenue in Vine City and the office is here, I would like to ask you, Mr. Hamid, for your organization to meet with some neighborhood organizations as well as the ones you're meeting with, because
Yes,
we were very hopeful when y'all came into the community. But so far, we have not really seen that type of interaction that you talked about, and maybe I'm just missing it, because I know that was the intent, but I don't know whether or not your work in this area has been as expansive as it might need to be, because we have not seen a reduction in gun violence per se, or nor a reduction in gang violence in this particular area. Matter of fact, it kind of continues to increase based upon the pandemic. Thank you.
well,
This time, Mr. Muhammad, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
right. Well, according to the statistics we've gotten from the police department, crime has gone down 18% since we've been there. That's what they told us. We don't know because we don't have any way to measure it. Also is the fact that during this pandemic, crime has gone up. It went down when everyone was getting that $600 stimulus check. Since that $600 stimulus check went away, the crime has gone back up. So we hope and pray that when one of us go to Congress, we can get that $600 re-stimulated into the economy to bring crime back down in English Avenue and all over America.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Barrington, I'll go to you with the next question. And that is going to be, do you support legislation protecting and providing full equality to LGBTQIA+ individuals and families? Why or why not?
Oh, 1000%. I ultimately think that, we always look at the word equality, and that's the word that's been generally focused on within this civil unrest period that we've gone through. And again, I cannot continue to reemphasize that we have to have modern day solutions to modern day problems. And the reason I said we focus on equality, because I think that the focus is on equity. I think that everyone deserves equitable opportunities, because everyone has different starting places. Therefore, people have different needs. And so, we are embarking on a political renaissance, as I stated earlier. Therefore, all of the inequalities or inequities that took place prior to this period must be stopped, because there's so much abundance within this nation, and everyone deserves the agency to take ownership of their lives the way they deserve, the way they want to, the way they need to. So I support any legislation that it will provide for any type of equitable opportunities and equitable progression of anyone's lives, no matter if they're a part of the LGBTQ community, no matter if they're women, no matter if they're men. I think that that's something that this nation has to correct, and it's something that this nation should work on moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrington. I'll go to you, Ms. Thomas, with that question. What have you supported and what do you support when it comes to equality and equity, equality for LGBTQIA+ individuals and families?
Well, first of all, I'm a legislator, and we passed House Bill 426, which was a hate crime bill. And at first, there was not anything in that protected that particular community. And I was a part of a group of people that fought and said that we would not support a hate crime bill without giving, protection to the LGBTQ community. And also, I'm one of the sponsors of House Bill 19, which is a specific bill that was put in and supported by Georgia Equality, that talks about prohibiting discrimination in housing and the workplace, to make sure that the LGBTQ community is not left out, because they've had discrimination a lot in the issue of the workforce. Additionally, I've run for office sometime, and then and they'll say, well, are you LGBTQ friendly? I say to you, I'm more than that. I've supported every piece of legislation that's been put in. I served on the committee, the Judiciary Committee, as a non-lawyer when they put in the advanced derivative, which specifically says that you as a patient have the right to decide and to direct who takes care of your care. Specific example, what would happen is a gay couple would be together, and one of the people in the couple gets sick. And so their family would come from out of town. And when they would see the other person, the partner, they would not give them access, not only in authority, but they couldn't even come in the room sometimes, because they would sort of blame that partner. But with the advanced derivative that was put in place through the Judiciary Committee I served on, that person as a patient has the right to decide who can direct their affairs without going through a whole lot of bureaucracy. Additionally, as you may know,
Ms. Thomas, this time.
so in other words, my record is strong on that issue. And as we're also dealing with specifically with the trans community, who has also been left out of almost all discussions.
Thank you. I have one more question that I'm going to ask all of you, and I am going to allow Barrington to answer this one first. If elected, what impact on policy and people do you seek to make as a member of Congress? You're on mute.
Say that, can you repeat that one more time so I can answer it in totality, please?
Okay. If elected, what impact on policy and people do you seek to make as a member of Congress?
As a member of Congress, I'm going to better the relationship, between people and the government. I'm going to be able to galvanize the people that have become disillusioned about government, and which is a lot of people don't understand that the biggest voting base in the United States of America is those that don't vote. And I feel that these people do not vote because they don't feel like there's something worth voting for. Oftentimes, even on other panels and even with my opponents, you continuously hear about what they have done. You continuously hear about things of the past. And what needs to be stated is that these outdated and archaic ideologies won't get us to where we need to go. And I think that because I'm a representative of this generation and the future generations as well, I know what needs to be done for us to make progress now. And I definitely know what needs to be done for us to maintain even better this progress in the future. So I think that overall, I know that, that not only will I be bringing to the forefront policy initiatives that will benefit all of the people, but I think that I'm going to better the relationship that people have within government. And I think that I'm going to better the social relationship that people have amongst each other, because essentially we all want the same things. We all want to be able to go have a nice paying job and be able to take care of our families. And I understand that. I'm going to end the unnecessary bickering between the Democrats and the Republicans, as well as the two-party duopoly that has monopolized the power away from the people. I'm a true servant leader. I'm a true person of the people. And I think that it's time to return that power to the people. And that's what I'm basically going to accomplish in this small amount of time.
I need a rebuttal on that, y'all. I mean, even though my name, I need a rebuttal on that based upon this. I need a rebuttal on that, if you would allow me to.
Okay, I will allow you a 30-second rebuttal, yes.
Okay, in other words, when you don't have experience in a lot of leadership, then what you do is talk about it's not important to have experience in leadership. And I was just trying to figure out what is arcade about insurance companies paying for mammograms, pap smear, and the prostate cancer test. What's arcade about a strengthening the rape shield law so a woman's past sexual history cannot be brought into court unless there was a past relationship between the two? What's arcade about in trying to end maternal mortality, where Black women die 3 to 4 times more than any race at childbirth, and putting money in the budget to $21 million in the budget? What's arcade about that type of experience? And when I go, that's what I'm talking about. It's okay to you not have experience, but don't try to talk about that we need people with not.
Okay, sorry to.
Can I rebuttal that? Because I didn't say a name. It's gonna be 15 seconds.
And I'm sorry, I had to mute Ms. Thomas just to stay on track with the house.
May I rebuttal that, because I didn't say a name at all?
You can give him 30 seconds of my time. Let him rebuttal.
Yeah, I will also I'm going to give you 30 seconds right now, Barrington.
Okay, it's going to be quick. No, it's never going to be fast. See, the thing about it is, and the thing that I've always understood is that experience has been a hindrance. And this is why I say it's time for modern day solutions to modern day problems. Not once has, and this is a part of my people's bailout, Medicare for all is important. So yes, a lot of those initiatives that you're mentioning are important, but not once have you mentioned a solution, a modern day solution that's going to take care of all of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like these outdated ideologies is continuously stymieing the process and the progress of our people.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barrington, and thank you, Ms. Thomas, for your comment as well. And I am looking in the Facebook chat. I do not see wait a minute. I'm sorry, Mr. Muhammad. I didn't let you answer that question, did I? Let me. No, ma'am.
I mean, if they wanted to go, I would give Mabel 30 more seconds of my time, because they can answer the question. Because I think they want to kind of sort it out, and as a negotiator.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
All right, well, we're going to continue to move on, Mr. Muhammad, but I thank you for offering up your time. However, the question is, if elected, what impact on policy and people do you seek to make as a member of Congress?
What I'm seeking to do is to reform Congress, to make it amenable and responsible to the people that live in everyday life throughout the 5th District. I would like to have an impact that would take Congress. John Lewis is known as the conscience of Congress. And he said he would help to redeem the soul of America. Right now, America's soul needs to be redeemed, because there's a scripture in the Bible, Nebuchadnezzar, The heart of a man was taken out of him and the heart of a beast was putting in. So right now we have people in Congress with the hearts of beasts, because you have to have the heart of a beast. If you see babies starving and you cut their welfare checks, if you see homeless people on the streets and you won't put money towards that, if you see people that have been affected by a pandemic and you will not give them the $600 stimulus check, you go on vacation and we see pictures of you vacationing in the Riviera, that's saying that you don't have a heart as a human being to help people that are in need and suffering. So I would hope to affect the hearts and minds and souls of those people who right now are not answering to the needs of the human beings throughout the heartland of America. They're just not doing it. So I want to have an impact on that, which means that those who need help will get it. Those who want help can have it. We will create opportunities. If you want to be a small business person, then we can get loans to you. If you want to be just a working class person, you'll have a livable wage and a job that's worth having. Those are the things that I would seek to make an impact on, to make America a livable place, a human place that allows you to live your life, a safe and decent life here in the United States.
Right. Thank you. We have one question in the chat, and that's from our president, Triana Arnold James. I am going to start with Ms. Thomas. Ms. Thomas, as everyone is aware, it has come out that there are mass hysterectomies in an immigration facility here in Georgia. What is your stance on what is going on, and have you taken any positions to help stop it? We'll start with Ms. Thomas first. I can't hear Ms. Ms. Thomas, we can't hear you.
She's on mute.
Yeah, I know.
I was saying that I didn't get a chance to really talk about what public policy issue. And the public policy issue that I want to talk about is one of the biggest issues for women right now, besides the whole issue of reproductive justice, is the issue of the fact that Black women die 3 to 4 times more than any other race at childbirth. And the bottom line is that I'm not being a doctor, but being a scientist of politics, understand that you have to put in place funding, and also we have put in place, there's a bill at the federal level. Representative Ayanna Pressley has a bill dealing with that issue nationally. Georgia is the worst in the nation. We put money in the budget to deal with that so rural hospitals wouldn't close, as well as the fact that we put $500,000 in the budget for Morehouse School of Medicine to deal with a Center for Excellence, where they deal with research, training, and community engagement to try to end this terrible thing. You cannot have a race where your mothers are dying at childbirth. And we don't mean like the first day. Those statistics are from the first day she has the baby to 12 months. And in that period, they're dying. And we was able to put money to change it from 2 months to 6, well, at least have Medicaid coverage for that particular period of time. And I think that what we have to deal with is that you almost have to be and done something, and be a warrior and be courageous like John Lewis before you get to Congress to try to be courageous. This is not the first step job you go to. If you want to start off, you can start off as city council, you can start off as school board. You do not just start off saying, I got an idea and go to Congress. It's a fast moving body. I can negotiate, I can instruct, I can create bills, I can pass bills, I can put money in the budget. I am day one ready. And you can just, we can go through a million things, but at the end of the day, you cannot walk into the Congress without relationships. And I have relationships in the United States Congress with the members of the Georgia delegation, as well as members of the Women's Caucus, which would include Maxine Waters over financial services, which would include Barbara Lee, which would include Congressperson Bass, and others. I am the most qualified to go to Congress.
Thank you. Barrington, we'll go to you next with the question from our President Triana Arnold James. What is your stance? What will you do about the mass hysterectomies going on in the detention centers here in Georgia? You're on mute.
Well, I'm sorry, excuse me. To answer your question that you posed, Ms. James, I think that issue ultimately has to be removed at its root. And so that's the immigration issue. So what I want to say is we have to start prosecuting all human rights violations, especially with immigrants, even if they got here illegally. And by that, I think it's time to dismantle the detention camps. First of all, things like that shouldn't be happening at these camps, and to even go beyond that, these detention camps shouldn't even take place in the first place. So I think that by ultimately ending these ICE detention camps, we won't have anything done to the women of these, detention camps at all, because it's inhumane and it violates their right to humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Going to you, Mr. Muhammad. What will you do about the mass hysterectomies going on in the detention centers? What will you do? What is your stance?
Yeah. Well, going into Congress under this short time period that we have, it's probably not a lot, but my opinion of it is that's a criminal act to give a woman a hysterectomy against her will. Anytime you force anything on any woman against her will, that's a criminal act. You cannot force your way onto a woman. There's a bill that was created by your organization, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. It doesn't say equal rights amendment for women. It said equal rights amendment that would affect women and all human beings. All human beings need to have equal rights, regardless of your creed, class, color, or sexual orientation. We need to have equal rights where you're treated fairly. You're given justice under the law, regardless of what your situation is. So we need to have an ERA. We need to have a law, a bill that says that everyone's treated fairly. I know what it's like to be mistreated as a Black man in America. I know what it's like to be mistreated as a Muslim, where Black Christians who I know and love mistreat me because that's just the way they feel about it based on my religion. So I know what religious discrimination is. I know what independent discrimination is. It's just a part of life, and we do it, but we need laws that protect every single human being in this country. And that's what I'm advocating: equal rights, fair treatment, and justice for all, regardless of creed, class, color, or sexual orientation, because we have to have that in order for us to have a just America. Right now, we don't have it, and we need it. And anytime someone violates a woman, is violent with a woman, they need to be punished to the full extent of the law. You should not touch a woman. You should not put your hands on any woman, regardless of the circumstances. That's what I feel, unless it's your life is being threatened. Other than that, if you're a man, put your hands down, turn around, and walk away. That's what you do.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you for your response. We can start with the closing statements. I'll start with Barrington first. If you'll give your closing statement, we'll go with Barrington, we'll go with Ms. Thomas, and then we'll go with Mr. Muhammad for closing statements.
So did I get a chance to answer that question?
I'm sorry, I thought you had answered.
She started first.
You were the first
She started first.
question. You were the first one that answered it. You were the first one to answer it, Mrs. Thomas. You did.
Well, I was answering the question where I didn't get a chance to talk about the issue of the gun violence. I think it was, well, that's okay. That's okay. I've said a lot, so it's okay.
Yes, and I asked you all the questions that I've asked the other two gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you though
That's
for
okay.
raising your concern.
That's all right.
Yes, so we'll start with closing statements. Barrington.
Yes, I would like to thank the NOW organization for giving me this opportunity to come speak with everyone about my platform and the plans that I have for this district as well as for the nation. I think it's important to remind all of you that it's just simply time for a new direction. New challenges await us, and if we continue to address problems with the same old methods, the people will continue to struggle. Oftentimes, again, we hear about experience, we hear about relationships, but let's remember that the great Congressman John Lewis had all the relationships, and he had all the experience, more so than anyone on this panel this evening, and yet and still, many of the problems continue to persist, and sometimes they have worsened. I think it's important to remind you all as well that I was here in the beginning. I had the courage to do what none of my opponents did this year, this June 9th, in standing toe-to-toe with an icon in which I accumulated 20,096 votes. Again, I want to ask, where were they on June 9th? Why do they care so much right now? It's always been about my city. It's always been about the district, but more so than anything, it's always been about the people. The people matter most, and that's why I created the People's Bailout. The People's Bailout It's the best solution for the current problem, and it's the best solution for problems that are approaching us on the horizon. This is why I know I'm the best candidate moving forward. I am the best candidate for today. Again, my name is Barrington Martin II, and I'm the new trouble Congress needs. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Barrington. I think I said Ms. Thomas next.
All right. I am one of the most accomplished state legislators in Democratic legislators in the Georgia General Assembly. I am the only elected official that endorsed John Lewis when he ran for Congress at 1986, when everybody else was with the other candidate. I took the heat. Thereby, John Lewis was 47. He left at 80. I'm here to tell you that a lot of times people give lip service, but the thing that my record is community service. I have been on the ground and still on the ground, living in the same neighborhood in the house that I was born and raised in. I'm someone who's committed to the people, and nobody has done more work around the issue of healthcare, women, and families than myself. I continue to fight for justice, whether it's in the street or in the street. I will be day one ready to go to Congress. The word out. How in the world can the other four candidates that's running miss the women's caucus? The Women National Organization of Women Forum. Yet the biggest voters are women. Yet when they chose to not make a forum, they don't make the women's forum. Come on now. And those who say they want to vote against domestic violence, it is time for them to stand up now, because they have not stood up for it in the past. So the reality of it is women hold up more than half the sky. And I do believe that I am on the ground for women. It's no small thing to be one of the 12 mothers of the reproductive justice movement in America, and have not tried to promote.
That's time, Ms. Thomas. That was 90 seconds. That was time. Thank you. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Muhammad, thank you, and your closing statement.
Yes. Thank you all for having me tonight. It was an honor to be before the National Organization for Women, because women are the most important aspect of the world today. As it says, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And when you have a woman that is trained right in the knowledge that she has and the spirit that she has, it's the women that are the first trainer of children. It's women who are the ones that made all of us, because all of us had a mother, and our mother is the one who injected into us the thoughts, the mind, the ideas that we have today. So with that spirit, I would like to create a new reality, because women give birth to new ideas. And we want to give birth to a new reality in the 5th district, a reality where you can live the life that you want to live, that you can have a livable wage, that you can have a affordable house, that you can live. Now, affordable house is one thing, but we need to give you a livable wage so you can afford the house that you want. That's the way that we want people to live in the 5th district and all over. But that can only be done when you come with a vision and new ideas. And right now, I have the vision that will allow us to create a new reality that will make the 5th district a safe and decent place to live, to make it a place where you can prosper, you can go to prosperity, you can have the life that you want, the quality of life would be great, and that's what we need. So www.muhammadforcongress.org is where you can go to find more information about our campaign. And we're asking you to vote for us, and we're here for you. And any question at any time, Muhammad for Congress is available to you. Just go to our website and ask questions, and we're there. Thank you all so much for having me, and may God bless everyone that's within the sound of my voice.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Thank you to all the candidates for joining us. All of the candidates, I would just like to say all the candidates that are on the ballot were invited. But thank you three, Mr. Muhammad, Barrington, and Ms. Thomas for participating in tonight's forum. Triana, our president of Georgia Now, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, just real quickly, thank you all once again. Thank you, Amber, for facilitating this forum. I look forward to all the ones that we're going to have in the future. To the candidates, one of the things that I like to talk about is a partnership. Like I said, we are one of the largest and oldest organizations for women and girls with a multi-issue platform. And we want to create a partnership. So whoever is elected, we want to be able to call on you to continue to advocate for our issues, that you will strongly advocate for our issues, and that we can also be boots on the ground for your agenda as well. So what we try to create is that partnership with candidates. So when they are elected, we can continue that partnership, because we do often travel to DC, and we would like to see you. We would like to talk about our issues. Congressman Macbeth, she always allow us to come to her office and advocate for our issues. So we want to create that partnership, and that we will hope to, we will work to support your agenda as well. So thank you all once again. I wish you all the best of luck, and you all are definitely in our prayers. And whatever the outcome is, please don't disappear. Continue to stay on course and stay in the fight, because we need each and every person. So thank you all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vote Able Mabel in the fight.
Y'all, you all have a great night, and thank you all again.
Thank you.
All right.
Very-
Thank you.